Guys always, he always asks me to scoot up. I'm gonna scoot up first.
How's the search for the right side of the line going right now? Where is the most movement? Central zone, I assume?
We're working on the right side. No, we're still trying to find five. So, once again, these guys, we're going in platoons. We're seeing who works well with each other, who's at what spots, and how that works. And we're just finished 9, so we've got a lot more still to go. But yeah, still, guys competing on the left side. Got some young guys. Austin's been doing a good job coming up. Donovan himself, had a really good plan in offseason coming out, and he's been attacking that stuff. His second level and some of the stuff we really honed in on. But just as a whole, like the whole group, yeah, we're still trying to find those 5 and what that is. I don't have an answer. I'll keep bouncing back to that question over and over. But good gradable reps versus obviously a good defensive front. So as we come out of this thing, we're gonna be well, have a good picture for where we're headed.
What do you need to know by the end of spring?
Well, you want to just by grading. As we grade, you can see the guys that grade, who grades well in critical situations, or we have to put them in a 3rd and long situation. We have to put them in coming outs. We have to put them in short yardage. You've got to manufacture enough of those so you can see in critical situations how these guys respond, as opposed to just a controlled rep or drill all the time. And then you just grade those, and then the cream always rises to the top. So, you're going to see that, and it's going to shake itself out.
What's the balance between experimentation, wanting to put guys in different spots, but also wanting guys to...
Yeah, it's not necessarily experimentation of like different positions. Like guys are locked in. It's just a matter of who's taking. Yeah, but who's taking who reps versus who right now? Honestly, you got to make sure that you're getting good reps against really good gradable reps versus our front, because obviously, whoever's next to you, a tackle, a center, a guard, a tackle, whatever that may be, like. If you're going against Ty Leak, you're going against Ty, you're going against, with Hero and K-Mac and these guys now, we're getting really good gradable reps that way.
How have you seen Carson respond this offseason the way everything ended?
He had a great offseason. Just all started in the weight room with Mick. His weight's up, he's thick. He's always been an explosive guy, but playing with a little bit of power, behind that. He's learning to do that. And the natural maturation. For all those guys, you talk for him, just his class alone. You're talking him, you're talking George, you're talking Tegra. Like those guys are going into year 3. That's when you really start to figure it out. Your body, the speed of the game, the technique, the fundamentals. And he's done a good job of adapting and really growing himself on the pace that you need to for a young guy that's coming out of the fire a little bit last year.
Yeah, he talked about being at a better weight now. It's not water weight; it's real weight, close to 300. He talks about being faster, more confident. Is that where, for a center, was last year kind of trial by fire for him? Is it just how is that process with not playing at all his first year, starting?
It's huge. It's for whether it's Carson Hinsman or Johnny Jones. You get thrust into real reps and the full speed. It's faster than you've ever seen. And so now he has that book of work, too, that he can look back on, where the understanding of the game, the understanding of the speed of the game, the intensity, I've said it 1,000 times, he doesn't get incrementally faster or stronger. The game mentally slows down for him so he can use his skill set that way. So what is that we're talking about? That's his weight, that's his strength, because those numbers are going up. So he can play with more pillar strength. He can play more contact. He can play more comfortable, even though his 40 time didn't go from a 5.0 to a 4.8.
How have you seen Seth acclimate himself into the room?
He just jumped right in. Unbelievable job both ways of him just coming in with shelving the ego that he really had none, and walking in saying, I'm walking into a room, as we told him when we recruited him, you're coming into a room with a bunch of good dudes. And then our good dudes are good dudes. He came in and there was no, it's like, you're here, here's how we do, here's how we operate, and let's go. And so that learning curve for all those, whether it's a high school mid-year guy or a veteran mid-year guy that transfers in, there's a learning curve there. Just, circling back to what we had, natural maturation a little bit, because he's been through a little bit of spring ball. He's been through a little bit of camps. So you're still learning new terminology, you're learning a new skill set. But he just dove right in and wanted to be a sponge and wanted to learn, and he's doing a good job. And he's improving every day. So that's what's making the battle and the competition and all these graded snaps really good for us, is because they all have that mindset. So from Seth, awesome. The unit and the group, awesome, because there was no combativeness to it. It was, let's get in, let's go, let's compete, and then let the guys win.
Justin, what about Luke said that skill set made you guys want to give him a good guard?
Just learning the same deal. Young guys, you come in, you got to learn how to play in friction. So having, 3-tech, having a 2-eye, having those guys like right in front of you, that every time you take one of those reps and you're out of your base or you're in your base, you feel the good, you feel the bad. So being more consistent that way, you can't make moves or shift guys if they're not mentally there. And so for him, he's got a pretty good football FQ. So he's growing every day. He's working, and he's getting beat every day too, and he's learning from those. So in the springtime, we have a saying in our room, we're like, in the spring it's yes and it's no, and the no is K-N-O-W. Why didn't the rep work? What happened? And how do I make sure I don't repeat the same mistake? And so whether he's coming in and watching the tape on his own and then coming with questions, he's grabbing me and watching tape with me, or we're coming doing stuff as a unit, he's learning. So that same deal, the game can slow down and he gets more comfortable there in friction. So, I mean, his weight's up, his strength's up. He spent an off season with Mick. There's a lot of development that still has to be had. Obviously not a finished product, but being able mentally for a guy to handle that, helps a lot.
Are there any really good concern with the but like similar to Carson in his weight and his power, right? Inside. You have to monitor that with Luke as well, because he just seems kind of like a leaner guy.
Luke, a leaner guy? Did you tell him that? He paid you to say that?
He did not pay me to say it, but I will tell
That might be the first time he ever heard that in his life. No. Like Luke, Carson, whoever it may be, that jump of 18 to 19 and 19 to 20-year-old kid, that plays a lot into it too. Being in a full year with Mick, I mean, all those guys, you come in at mid-year, like you're Devo and Dion and Ian Moore right now, you're keeping your head above water. That's your whole first year. Now you can actually get and we can sit. So when you sit and talk about a jam combo or a lock or whatever the call may be to Luke, he registers that and not like something new, because then there's paralysis by analysis. So I think the mental part on top of another year of natural maturity of getting bigger and stronger, that's always going to help. You're not going to, guys here, they're not going to regress. It's going to keep adding progress, and how fast can we get that going is what we're working on every day with him.
Josh Luke said that he had been ball guard to this point, and Coach Day's mentioned it several times that Josh could play guard too, and you guys are trying to work through that, Frye.
Josh could play all five. I mean, he snapped the ball in high school. Josh had a great offseason.
But for you, when you're going through spring and it's fact-finding and experimentation, how much do you want to put them in different spots or not? Because you also have an eye on August to try and settle on a 5-man rotation. What's the balance of that for you? You
have to get a really good gradable set so that everybody has numbers of, just like we said before, how many times have we done a run blocking or pass blocking in this situation, so that all evens out. So it's not experimentation, it's just making sure that you get a good book of work to look at and grade that. So as we work guys around the platoons and go, just to making sure that everybody gets good gradable reps, so we can sit back by the end of spring and say, all right, you're comparing apples to apples and oranges to oranges, and not apples to oranges, because it's completely different that way. So that's kind of the thought behind that as you're going through the spring.
When you got here a couple years ago and we first met you, if I would have told you 2 years from now Chip Kelly's going to be here as offensive coordinator, what would you have said?
I'd laughed, But then I said, it's college football, so who knows, right?
What's that been like? I'm sure you're enjoying it. What's it been like? So
yeah, I mean, he just added to another piece of just good people here. I mean, you're coming to work here with guys every day. With the kids we talk about a ton, but then for us as coaches, as a staff, so adding just another good dude that's in the room. Obviously, as he says something and, he might speak in old terms or terms that we had, maybe be a little bit of the Rosetta Stone, like, no, this is this. He's like, yeah, that's right, because that happens to all coaches. That happened to me when we got here at first. I was with Coach Day sometime with Ryan. It's like, what do we call this? Because he was in a system like that before, and he said, this is this now. So I think just the, translation of the Rosetta Stone there helped, but just overall standpoint of adding a great guy that's a great coach that's been around, he's going to supplement the room, and every time you add something new to the room, then that makes the room better, it makes you individually better. Oh, look how he does that. Maybe I could do that. Maybe I could bring that to my meeting room. Maybe I can bring that to communication to the staff or to the kids or whatever it is, because he's done it for a long time, and he's done it at a high level for a long time. So it's good to add that guy to us and then continue as us, the rest of the staff, for me and Brian and Key and everybody, just learning and growing with that.
What does he bring, kind of specifically, just, does he, from a talent standpoint, does he see things sometimes that others don't see? Does he I mean, you know what I mean? What does he kind of bring from the chalkboard aspect of things?
Well, I mean, but you're saying, so what does he see? It's good to have fresh eyes come in that maybe, you know, you get in a routine and you get in a rhythm, and then all of a sudden,
Feel for like certain aspects of like the running game and things like that.
football. You know, he's one of those guys I think goes in the category that's forgotten a lot of more football than some people have learned in their life. But no, I believe he coached every position on the field, both sides of the ball, through his whole career. So as he looks up and he writes when he's talking about, well, this will linebacker is going to do that, then he might have coached that at Columbia, right? Or this is what the 3-tech's going to read on the down block of a tackle, because he's coached the offensive line and he's been a coordinator for a long time. So just a really good vision of big picture, understanding, and you know, the next step, and not just being right now. Yeah.
I asked Tegra if he had a theme or whatever to this spring, because obviously this seems kind of like not a make it or break it time for him, but a time to step up and step in. His point was nobody cares. Nobody cares what struggles you have or whatever. You got to go out there on the field and get the job done. I mean, it's a play. If you notice anything different about Tegra, what do you see about Tegra?
Yeah, he was competing his butt off. I mean, he's kind of living that way. You know, that's why we have that the red line over there. When you cross the line, you know, Coach State talks about that. Here, like it's the game doesn't care. You're off the field. You got to come out and step out and do your job. It doesn't care about anything off the field, right? And that can sound really negative and harsh, but then it also, if you just spin your tone, like, isn't it beautiful that the game doesn't care? It doesn't care your skin color, your socioeconomic background, where you've come from. If you just want to do it the right way in the 53 1/3, the game will love you back. You know, and so I think it's the approach mentally that guys take that way. So yeah, for Tegra, he's taking that approach. Like he wants to come in and be a guy. So he's fighting and clawing and scratching every day. So when he makes a mistake, he's trying to correct it. When he does it well, he's trying to enhance it. And that's what competitive people do, and that's what he showed up to do. So that's good that he said that.
Seth, what's his command on the field been like as a center? And is that difficult when you're coming into a new offensive line to have that? Or is there something innate about the center position, if you've been experienced at it like he has, where you kind of have that, I guess, command on the field over with any offensive line?
Start over again. You're saying the comfort of center with who now?
Seth.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm saying, like, how has his command of the field been, and has it been difficult, I guess, to adjust for him if he's to have a certain level of on-field command, you know, at that center position?
Yeah, I mean, the on command is just great communication, getting everybody on the same page. Yes, having a bunch of banked reps helps, but then when you do come into a new offense, just like we talked, you know, with Chip a little bit earlier, you know, he might have called it yellow and we call it green or something. I don't know, I'm just making stuff up, but the transition of that in your head to get going with that. But yeah, the comfort of having a ball in your hand, having a guy, I mean, you talk about acclimatization of football, like play one-handed and have, you know, Tyleek this far from your face. You better have command of something, you know, and so you got to understand the communication and the technique and those things there. So yeah, I think him coming into a new place, the game's not as fast as it probably would be for a younger guy, but also there's mistakes there that he can learn from and grow from, and same deal. He's, you know, the one thing we're not having concerns with, or we're not driving right now, is the guys just competing and trying to get better after a mistake, or like we said with Tegra, enhancing, as they've done some stuff really well, and he's adapted to that really well.
Carson says he's been all center this spring. Is it the same for Seth? And how do you assess their ability to play center versus guard? Could they do both?
They both have been repping at center, yeah, for the competition aspect. Could they roll out and play guard? Yeah, probably both of them could. How do you assess that? You just got to give them a bunch of guard reps. But if you thin guys out too much that way, then that's not good coaching, you know. So we got a good plan with everybody, those two guys included, as we're moving ahead. But yeah, they've been really working at center position right now, both of them.
Josh, you asked about Josh Simmons yet?
No, I haven't.
He obviously came after spring practice last year, had his ups and downs during the season. How's he been this spring? You kind of speak to what the challenge must have been for him last year, not having spring practice, stepping in, playing that position all year, an inexperienced quarterback.
Yeah, same deal. He's been here not even a full year yet. So coming in the summer, doing what he did, coming in through the fall, and then now, I mean, the same with him. Sound like a broken record. I think the game's slowing down for him. Those mistakes that may have showed up, or the questions that he had through the fall and as we got going through the season, those are starting to erase a little bit, which is good. You know, his communication level, he's just talking more. That's probably the best thing that he's done so far. He's a highly, highly talented guy. We're just developing that skills and discipline and does go into communication. So as he communicates and talks, that's probably the biggest thing I've seen from him, which I think, you know, volume and communication equals confidence. And so he's playing much more confident right now.
He obviously has talent.
Mm-hmm.
He also would have a few plays a game where, you know, be a penalty or whatever. Have you seen him reduce those?
Mm-hmm. A bunch, yes.
Coach, thank you very much.
Thanks, Jerry. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chef. You buy Bear fans? Thanks, Chef.
I understand that.
All right, folks, we will come back when